One day, we'll catch up. One day, towing will become smooth and easy. One day.
If that day comes, you know how many of us are going to be out of a job?
It wasn't today. Probably not going to be tomorrow. I love how so many people call you Towman and they don't know your name's Towman-G. Does that hurt your feelings?
No, the only time it hurts my feelings is when people read it out, Tomanji.
Towmang.
Tomanji.
I've heard Towmang.
Tomang.
That is definitely a thing. Towmang. Hey, Mang.
There's a reason why I capitalized the T, the M, and the G.
TMG. Can we start calling you TMG?
TMG? Sure.
TMG.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
It's like the TMZ.
Yeah.
But it's a G.
Yeah. Does that mean I have to start taking notes on what people are doing and reporting them on the show? Like TMZ would?
Well, I mean, part of our job is reporting
on
things that are going on in the towing industry. So, yeah, that'd be great if you did your job.
Oh, okay.
I'm prepared to do this show. Are you prepared to do this show?
I am now. Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life Podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, Towman G, and as usual, I am joined by my co-host, friend, and former co-worker, the man with very strong opinions, which we'll show today, Mr. Plain Guy.
What is going on, G? What is going on?
Oh, you know, same thing. It's nice to be back in the office.
Oh my God, is this ever such... Blah. English is hard.
It is.
Is this so much nicer to not have the stress and be back in our studios, able to record with good quality, good audio, good video, all of our wonderful video clips we can play, all of our photos, all of our whatever we want to do at the touch of our fingers in front of us. God, I have missed this.
It's so much easier and it's so much better quality, but yet so much less effort. It's beautiful.
100% agreed. If anyone knows me as a tower, know that I'm about maximizing quality and minimizing effort. So that is what we can do here on the show when we are in our home studios. As much as it was a blast to see you at the tow show, as much as it was a blast to see everybody, see the trucks, the equipment, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to continue on. I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to put you right on the spot early in the episode.
Oh, boy.
How's the video cut and everything coming together from all the footage we got from the tow show? Are we going to see that next week?
You're going to see it. I'm having issues getting video off of one phone that you used.
Oh, no.
Because we never put a memory card in that phone, and that phone also has a buggered up charging port. So now it's trying to upload these videos to the cloud to re-download them, and you've got like a solid 40 minutes of bomb-ass footage that I need to get, because if I don't get that, there's like so many missing pieces.
So it is safe to say you once again dropped the ball.
I drop the ball day in and day out. That is, if I could get a job at dropping the ball that didn't involve a lot being an athlete, I would make $1 million.
That is the thing. That is the joy of doing something different and trying things out. We found many things that didn't work. We found things that did work. And I mean,
I ended up with your tablet, some earbuds, and something else too.
You can have those earbuds. They're my spares. You should enjoy those. They're really nice. I like them. But perfect. So before we get too deep into the episode, as usual, if you have any comments, questions, concerns for the show, you can feel free to reach out to us. First, you can email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. You can call us 249-666-2209, or you can visit us our website www.towinglife.ca. That is honestly the best spot. You will find all the information. Everything is there. If you are watching over on YouTube, be sure to hit the thumbs up on the video. As usual, we ask this week in, week out. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down twice. Really let YouTube know that you don't like it. And don't forget to follow, subscribe as usual. It always helps. It's a free way to support the show. And anyone that does, we truly appreciate you. Now, if you are over on YouTube and you have a question or a comment, you can gladly put it in the comments down below. And I'm going to rip a guy right away for his comment. We had on last week's video.
Wasn't last week, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it was the Tow Show After Show episode.
Oh, okay.
I think it was referring to something from previous episodes. And I know they always say ignore the haters. They're not worth your time. But this guy got to me. Apex Predator. And I'm hoping it's just that you couldn't get the proper name. That's not why you spelt it with 3 R's. I'm hoping you're not illiterate. You're just, creative.
Oh, God.
Yo, we take 0 risks. Never driven a car up on the deck in my life. I'm afraid of the parking pin. You guys are so full of shit. Okay. First of all, have I ever driven a car onto a deck? Yes. Would I, in my experience and time towing, recommend driving a car on a deck on the daily? No. It's unnecessary. We're afraid of the parking pin? No, I'm afraid of a damage claim, an unnecessary damage claim. I'm going to guess that you haven't been towing long enough to have something go wrong. And if you did, you probably blamed it on somebody else. It's not my fault. The tires were bald. No, it's your fault for driving the car on the bed. Shit happens day in, day out. Damage claims are a part of the industry, an unnecessary part, but a part of the industry. Whenever we make comments like this on don't drive your car up onto the deck, winch it on. That's why we have winches. That's why you're a professional. It isn't because we haven't been in situations where we have done sketchy shit. I have done a ton of sketchy shit in my career. Half of it I'm not proud of. And the other half was a necessary evil in order to get some jobs done. And some of it was just inexperienced and being undertrained and too ignorant, like somebody who spells their name with 3 R's, to know any better. I hope this isn't too harsh, but it's the reality of it. Don't come at us on a YouTube comment because you know what I mean? You think, oh, we're, trying to be unrealistic in expectations. The reality is that 99% of vehicles, there isn't a reason why you can't winch them on. It's safer. It's eliminate risks. And it's overall more professional than driving it on and putting that thing in park and then taking it out of park and hearing that park pin go bang in front of the customer. So
you are right, but the problem is now Mr. Apex Predator and all his buddies are going to see how much it gets you riled up, and they're going to come into our comment section and blow it up, which is good for the YouTube algorithm, but it's just going to give you more aneurysms and more content to play with to bash more people on the show, and it's going to be a never-ending cycle.
I don't have any ill will towards Apex Predator. He made a comment. I'm gonna acknowledge it. If it brings in more people that are pissed off, then so be it. I don't really care at the end of the day.
The only thing that bugs me about his comments is, yo, we take 0 risks.
Well, I think that's what he's trying to say is that we don't. Maybe I misread this whole thing. Maybe. The last guy being you guys are so full of shit makes me think I'm not. Yeah. But, we take 0 risks pretty much. Oh, you know what I mean? We're perfect towers and we do everything by the book. Come run a day with me. When there's a need for risk, there's a need for risk. When there isn't a need for it, there isn't a need for it. And that's just straight up facts. That's just straight up reality. Yeah. And, so yes, again, half the shit I've done, I'm not proud of some of the things I've done. But, we don't claim to be experts. We claim to try and be improving the industry and the professional image in which we represent, which probably doesn't help going on a blast on a guy on YouTube.
No, it doesn't.
But the reality is at the end of the day, you, me, and most of the people that listen to the show are towers and absolutely understand the ignorance of that comment. And these are the same comments we're finding all over on social media of just 100% pure ignorance. You know what I mean? And it's these guys that are those self-proclaimed tow gods. And yo, look at me hauling this BMW with dollies. Hey, proud of you. I do it. I tow a BMW with dollies too. Look at me. You know what I mean? Driving cars up with 2-point tie downs, whatever. It's just unnecessary. Be a professional. We've talked about this when we talked about the stereotypes of towing. Be a professional. That's all we're asking. Not asking you to be perfect, just asking you to be professional. I don't think that's too much to ask in today's industry.
Yeah, it's you're gonna find this all the time, and there's no ill will to you, Apex.
No,
A
absolutely not.
lot of
Thanks
times,
for listening. Thanks for watching.
yeah, a lot of times, even if you meant it in a completely different way and we just read it wrong, I'm not necessarily saying that this comment we read it wrong. I'm just saying in future we could read comments wrong. So if we ever do put you on blast, and by we I mean that guy over there puts you on blast, feel free to come back into the comment section and say, no, that's not what I meant, and defend yourself.
And I'll gladly apologize if that is the case and I misinterpreted that.
Yep. We've made him eat his words a couple of times on this show, so please make him eat some more words.
But thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for hopefully subscribing and hitting that thumbs up button. I haven't seen a thumbs down button, so I'm guessing we're going in the right direction.
No, that's because they're hitting it twice. If they dislike it that much, it disappears and it just goes into the file on the YouTube.
Yeah, and YouTube will never show you our videos again.
Yeah.
So speaking of hate, this is going to be a very hate. Oh man, I just realized looking at most of these topics, it's going to be a very hate-filled episode.
And you said this is the big 60. We're going out with a bang.
I never said any of that.
It's going to be a weird kind of bang, but it's going to be a bang nonetheless.
So I love when we get some downtime. I love going through social media. I love finding clips, finding videos, finding funny stories. There's one that I meant to put in the note today. We'll have to get to it at another episode that involved an overturned tractor trailer, which I think is going to make for all kinds of giggles. But, we always find, there's the bashing. We're talking about the bashing. There was a gentleman that put up a post, and I'm trying to remember. I never screenshotted the original post. I screenshotted after because the original post got taken down, one of those situations. And it was a situation where a gentleman, and I'll just quote what was written in the original post, right? So we get this tow, but it has a flat front tire. It was a Ford Escape, if I'm not mistaken. I'm guessing front wheel drive. I add our regular fee of $125 to the invoice for tire service. Explain to the customer why we need to air up the tire. Customer agrees and is okay with the added fees. He tells me that another tow company came out and refused the tow because of the flat tire and never offered to air it up. Yes, it was towed on a wheel lift. Yes, the tire held air. Yes, the customer is happy. So,
well, obviously the customer is going to be happy because the first person that showed up said that they can't do it. Right? So
that first guy that showed up is the best thing for your business. Please refer all your customers to him first before calling you.
Yes, exactly. Now, there's a fine line that you're walking here. Am I upset that you're making more money than me in that instance? No. You've obviously been put in a sweet spot. Your customer's good. And this is from back here looking in because it's just a Facebook post. I don't know exactly what was going on. If it was a front flat tire on a front wheel drive car, regardless if it had air in it or not, you can tow it without needing any additional equipment.
You know what? Oh, wait, no. He says it's a front tire. Okay, never mind. Continue.
Yes. So it's a front wheel drive car with a front flat tire. What's the worst thing that you're going to have to do? Double pick it, drive it up onto a 4x4, pick it up, away you go. These are all things. So if I was in that situation, I would probably fill up the tire too. Am I going to charge $125? No, because that's not my rate. If that's your rate, all the power to you. But I'm not going to be charging that kind of added fee because I can do it without doing that extra step. Will it make it safer? Sure. Would I throw an extra $20 on that bill because I'd have to double pick it and it's a little bit more than what a standard hookup fee would be? Sure. Is the customer still going to be happy? Probably, because I'm the second guy to show up and say, I can actually get this done. Right? And here's a little bit of extra money.
Have you ever added a fee to your bill for double picking?
No.
So don't sit here then and tell me maybe I add 20, but you don't. We are one of the industries that is an absolute menace to ourselves.
Yeah.
You ever call in an electrician to get work done, a plumber, everything like that? Here's my labor rate. Here's my hourly rate. Here's the zip ties I used. Here's the amount of wire I used. Here's the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a full itemized invoice
of everything that they did. There is nothing that they did not throw on that invoice.
Mm-hmm.
Yet a tow truck will just come in and go, broken ball joint, $75. Tow because you're overheating, $75. This, $75.
Yeah.
Got a double pick. Why isn't there a charge for it? You got to air up a tire. Why isn't there a charge for it? You know, as long as you can justify your pricing. In this case, it's right. It was a front flat. That's where I'm getting confused on. It's a front flat. If it was a rear flat, I could understand a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
The scenario could be he's got a rear flat. I either got to dolly it or I put air in the tire.
Yeah.
Now, maybe your dolly fee is $150. I'm not mad at that as long as you explain it to the customer and they understand it ahead of time and you're not out, just gouging people because you can.
And you can still make yourself look to be the good guy because you're like, listen, man, I'm still saving you $25 compared to dollies and airing up your tire.
Dollies aren't cheap.
No.
Dollies are not cheap. So charge for them the same way you charge your flatbed fees, everything like that. So if maybe that was his dolly fee. Maybe his dolly fee was more expensive than that. It doesn't make sense because the front flat, you're right. The only fear I have, and this is good advice for any of you listening to watch out for, and I make a point of it now. Most new vehicles come with TPMS, tire pressure monitoring sensors.
Yep.
You have to keep an eye where that TPMS, normally it's
or your valve stem,
yep, inside the rim. On most vehicles, there is a band style. There's a couple different styles. But I've seen it where it comes real close. When you get that flat tire and you double pick it, where your spoon sits can crush that TPMS. So a good piece of advice to you is line up that tire, if it is the valve stem style, to have the valve stem directly up. That way, there is no risk that your spoon or your wheel lift at the front, either of those edges that is holding the vehicle, if you decided to double pick it and not air it up, is going to be nowhere near that TPMS. So if it is broken, they can't come back on you and go, I bet your spoon crushed it. Take a quick photo.
I mean, if they blow out the tire going down the highway and it takes them 300 meters to get pulled over to the side of the road, that thing's just going to be screwed up regardless if I pick it.
Not really, because it's the rim, the inner bead where that thing sits on the way the rims are formed.
But
it
how
really
do you know the tire
ground.
technician didn't put it in sideways?
But that's fair. Eliminate your risk of being blamed.
Yeah.
Because we know that customers are looking for a way to get it paid for.
Well, yeah.
We know that they are looking for a way to get it paid for. So I've taken the time to explain it to my customers. I've put that valve stem straight up and showed them and gone, look, you have the TPMS, you've got a flat tire. Just in case there's damage to it, I want it pointed out that I'm nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Right? Simple little things like that. What do those TPMSs go for? $100 easy.
Yeah.
$100 minimum, right?
Yeah.
You think minimum $100.
Mm-hmm.
That's an easy $100 to get suckered out of. Now, there's two ways you can approach that when they call you. You can say, go kick rocks.
Prove it.
And take the negative impact with it.
Yeah.
Or you can say, or you're going to pay it.
Yeah.
Or you can say, no, look, here's how we towed it. We towed it with the valve stem up. A quick little photo. Guys, cell phones have pictures. It's so easy nowadays to cover your ass.
Yeah.
His word against doesn't exist in the world of technology we have now.
Yeah.
It's his word against your word unless you have proof. And click, I get proof. Right?
Yeah.
So it's little things like this, but we don't charge. You're going to double pick that car? Charge for it. You're going to throw a pan pillow on because it's a Volkswagen, even though you can just double pick in my experience in most scenarios.
Yeah.
Charge for it.
Yeah.
You're going to use specialty tools like our wonderful sponsor over at Backpole Hitches. Charge for it.
Yeah.
Stop giving it away because it's part of a tow. We have a set flat in-town rate, right? It varies slightly based on at night. We've added a little bit of a premium to offset some things. But that doesn't include Joe, who took a curb too hard and broke his ball joint.
Yeah.
That's not a standard tow. I've got to jack this thing up. I've possibly got to reset the ball joint if I'm going to use a ball joint or control arm skate, or I'm going to, put the spare tire on to give me more fender clearance. I've seen guys do things like that.
I chain slinging this car and now gotten to watch out on oil pans and everything like that. Yep.
Charge appropriately for specialty stuff that you use. That's where I don't shit on this guy. Yeah. This guy, is the rate seem high? Sure. I can agree with that. I can agree that the rate seems a little bit high. Yeah. Did he take advantage of a customer because they had already been turned down service? I don't know. Obviously, the guy before thought it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a customer that is notorious for calling in false damage claims.
Maybe.
We don't know the backstory to this.
Maybe
situation.
there's just a very low valence on the car, and the first guy showed up and was like, I won't be able to get underneath that.
Yeah. So, but this guy took the time to explain his billing to the customer, charge the customer for an added service that he deemed was necessary. And none of us were there. None of us were there to say that he is wrong. Unless you were personally watching him do this and watching him, then shut up. You know what I mean? If you want to rag on him is what I'm saying. If you want to shit on him for it, you know, I love guys like that. Look at this bill. Can you believe these guys charge this much? Were you there?
No.
Did you see the equipment that they use? This, you know what I mean? Were you at any way involved in this? Or are you just going, I'm not smart enough to charge that high?
Yeah.
Right? So this guy took the time to explain it to his customer. His customer was happy with the end result. And what's the problem? Why is it that the customer is happy about it and the towing industry is pissed about it?
Right? Well, I think the root issue of these billing issues that we're seeing of people razzing on other people's bills is, let's say there's a 1-ton truck down in the ditch, right? Just stuck.
Right.
And someone shows up in their 1-ton tow truck and they're like, oh, I need a bigger truck for this because I can't do this. And it's not a hard pull. So then they call in a medium duty truck. Well, the first truck that was there was more than capable of. The line would have been within its working load limit. The operator would have been safe, and it could have got the job done. Right.
I mean, that's throwing out some pretty certain things without really having any details on the situation. But okay, I got it. There's a 1-ton record rigged properly. Yes.
Yeah, snatch block your line, you're good to go. He calls out the medium duty truck. Well, now let's just inflate the bill $500, let's say, and the customer's got to eat that, right? Which is fine. That's not as big of a deal, but when you get into some of the heavier stuff where one straight truck could have done the job and they call out 2 rotators or whatever the case may be, and these bills get bigger and bigger and bigger because, oh, so-and-so is paying it, this club's paying for it, this insurance company's paying for it, and they just throw more equipment at it. Is that wrong? No, because that equipment's there and it needs to get paid for, but is it justified in the first place? Because could another guy get it done with half the equipment? And that's the biggest issue that I feel that causes stuff like this, is because your judgment and my judgment on what that situation equipment wise might need can be completely different compared to what the equipment that I have at my disposal to yours. And that's where we start seeing these things. A smaller, lighter to mid-duty company will get the same job done with less equipment than one of the bigger companies because they have the equipment to throw at it to do it safer, faster, more efficient, whatever the case may be. But their bill's going to be more because they have more expensive equipment on site.
So what you're saying is that you think companies are purposely sending extra equipment to bill for it so they can pay for their trucks? Is that kind of what?
Kind of, not really. I'm saying that because they've got some of these companies that have bigger and better equipment or more of it, they will just send more trucks and more people to it. So like when I worked by myself in a towing company, it was me and that was it.
Okay.
Well, once you start working with a company with more guys, if you need backup, they're just a phone call away and they're 30 minutes away. So you start relying on them a little bit more. Now, if you do that with more equipment and more things like that, I find myself in that position. I'll take less risk, or I'll put less thought process into something to figure out how I can get it done safely myself before I call someone else in.
Well, is it that okay? So your argument is that you can get the vehicle done safely yourself.
Yep.
We're replaying this 1-ton scenario in the ditch.
Yep.
And you have at your disposal in your fleet trucks that are more capable for the job.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to put more strain and everything on the equipment that you have for what ego?
No.
For what?
For time and less money spent billing to my customer.
Okay, so you want to bill less money.
No, I want to bill what the truck's worth.
Okay.
Let's say my 1-ton truck.
How about billing what the job's worth?
But what the job is worth depends on the equipment that's there.
No.
and the
If it's
operator behind that seat.
whoa. The job is worth what the job is worth.
But
The
that's
job
the
is worth what
problem.
the job is worth.
That's the problem. That job might be worth more to someone else compared to you.
Right. So that someone else is wrong?
But that's how we get situations like this.
Not really. This gentleman had a value of a service.
Yep.
He put it in, the customer agreed to it, and he towed it away. If
Mhm.
I have a 1-ton in the ditch and I have the option of sending another 1-ton, which nobody's running 1-tons anymore, at least in Ontario, we're seeing that they're 4,500s, 5,500s,
Yeah.
whatever. It's still the same wreckers they have on the back as they did.
Yep.
And I've got, let's say, a single axle mid duty available. Why wouldn't I send the single axle mid duty? Why would I send the 1-ton?
Well, you might send the 1-ton thinking it's just a pickup truck, like a 1500.
Okay, and then the 1-ton, the 1-ton gets there and realizes it's a 1-ton buried down in the mud.
Yeah.
And we're talking buried in the mud in a ditch.
Okay, now you're talking buried in the mud. I just
Well,
said
okay, well, you're saying down in the ditch.
yeah. Can the
I'm
1-ton
sending
do
my-
it safely
my
with
mid-
a competent driver behind the wheel? Sure, it can.
Okay,
So he's already on scene. Why are you going to send another truck?
well, you
to
already
do
said
this?
you're only doubling up lines, and depending on what kind of ditch he's talking in, I think you still might be over your limits.
Well, the wreckers I drive are twin lines with 8,000-pound winches. I normally
Okay.
have 2 to 3 snatch blocks in that truck at all times.
And what's your wire rope rated for?
3,300 and some odd pounds.
Okay, just making sure. Just checking. I'm just saying, if you have the equipment, you can get the job done in a safer manner or a less risk or a less abuse on equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you could probably get it with your 1-ton. That'd be the same guy that'd be pulling a wheelie with the front end going, look at me. Or I can bring in my mid duty. I can plant that thing. I can get it done. Nobody's going to get hurt. There's no risk. There's less wear and tear on my equipment. And ultimately the job, the trucks have a value for them, but the job has a value. And if let's say the job is worth $500, right? We're just gonna throw a generic number. We're talking a 1-ton in the ditch. I don't think I'm honestly that far off, depending on what kind of road it's on. You're still in a good profit margin sending out a mid duty.
Yeah, but you've already sent out a light duty truck.
Well, then you bill extra because the guy told you it was a 1,500. Again, bill for your services.
Yeah.
Right, a customer tells you my 1/2-ton stuck in the ditch, and you get there and it's a 1-ton with a gooseneck trailer on it. You kindly explain to the customer why you've got to charge for a second truck now because you told them it was a 1,500. We're only as good as the information the customers give us. I'm the first guy to shit on my dispatcher, even though I've said not to multiple times.
Yep.
Because the information that I'm given, and the dispatcher will be the first one to tell you, I can only go off what they tell me. So if the customer wants to play stupid games because he thinks he's going to get a better deal if he tells you it's a 1/2-ton, not a 1-ton, give it right back to that customer when you got to send out your second truck because if his dumb ass can give you all the proper information. Charge for your services. Charge for the things that you use. Needed a second guy, needed a break, whatever you needed. As long as you can justify it, as long as you are billing for the service that you provide. Meaning, if you are double picking it, if you are using a snatch block, if you are any of the stuff that you are going to use and abuse on your truck, as long as you can justify it and it was actually used, I got no problem. I got a problem with guys charging accident dolly fees when there's nothing wrong with the rear tires because they can.
Yep.
I got problems with that kind of stuff. I got problems with billing for services that you did not provide.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with billing for services that you did provide, equipment you did use, especially when you've already ran it by the customer and the customer was all right with the charges before going ahead with it. Towing is a career full of different situations, from vehicles missing a wheel to having none at all. A great operator learns to use all the tools in both his physical and mental toolbox. I'm here today to tell you about a new tool for your physical toolbox, the Backpole Hitch. I'll be the first to tell you I had my doubts that I personally aired on this podcast. But the fine folks over at Backpole Hitch sent me a product to test and to use, and boy, was I surprised. From the quality of the build and how easy it was to use, I was surprised. And it made me eat my words real fast. So if you're a doubter like me, head on over to backpolehitches.com. That's BAKPUL hitches.com and add another valuable tool to your toolbox. You won't regret it.
you say you got a problem with that. So I'll put it in your boots. You are running, let's just say you're running a rotator. You show up to a job that you can easily get done with one rotator.
Okay.
But you don't get the job and your competition comes in and does it with 2 rotators and a straight truck.
Okay.
Are you still okay with them billing for that, even though you were able to get it done with just 1 truck and they're charging now for 3?
I could easily or safely?
Both.
Good on them for making the money. That customer will probably call me next time.
Yes, but that bill's going to be going to an insurance company or something, and that's
If that operator judged that is what he needed in that scenario, who am I to criticize him? He made his best judgment with the information that he had available to him. I can't criticize a guy for that.
There is some people out there that just throw equipment and money at a situation to make it go away.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people will say, oh, well, I know I can get it done with 1 truck, but I know they'll pay for 2, even though I don't need it.
Well, no, I can get it done with 1 truck in 2 hours, or I can get it done with 2 trucks in 1 hour. That's a lot of things that we don't take into account sometimes, right? Where you got to look at. You got to, you know what I mean? There's scenarios where, yes, 1 truck can get it done, and let's say your 1 ton can get it done in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And your mid duty can get it done in 15.
Yeah.
There's a cost that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I? Again, I'm making the decision based on my experience. The other operator working at the other end is making his judgment based on his experience. Who's right? Who's right?
Well,
right? You and I show up to the same scene and make different assessments on what the best way to get something out is. Right? 1,000 right ways, million wrong ways. Are you doing it one of the right ways? It's all that matters.
But that's the thing, is there is no one body, and I'm not saying that we need set rates. That's not what I'm saying. It's your opinion and your judgment compared to this guy's judgment, compared to that guy's judgment, compared to anyone's judgment on what that job is worth and the equipment to send. Right?
Absolutely. Towing is full of variables.
Full of variables.
There's 100 right ways and 1,000 wrong ways, or like I said earlier, 1,000 right ways and a million wrong ways.
Yeah.
So you can't judge, they use, what's that old saying? Wreckmaster had this old saying that, you won't criticize another operator because they're doing the best they can with the tools they have.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they had a different view on it. There is no one right way. I don't know how many times after recoveries that we have done debriefs on things we would have done differently.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, that seemed like the best option. Because at the time, sometimes depending on the scenario, you have split seconds to start calling equipment, react, everything, and get everything rolling to get this recovery done. So yeah, could I have done it with 1 rotator? Maybe. Can I understand why a guy would use 2 in a straight truck? I think 1 rotator, 2 in a straight truck's a little different. A normal scenario is 1 rotator to 2 rotators, or a rotator in a straight truck. You know what I mean? You're going 1 to 2, not 1 to 3. That's a little bit of a stretch. But no, it's that operator made a call. And the minute that we can, you know what I mean? I'm not saying you have to understand and you wouldn't have done things differently, but give a little respect to the industry. That guy had to make the decision, and sometimes they're a tough decision, just like you have to. So as long as they're not doing it with a malicious intent, and like this guy with the tire change, we went from tire changes to or tire inflation to rotators real fast. He made the call that he was going to bill for his extra services, and he ran it by his customer. This isn't an article of customer complains to Better Business Bureau because he's ripped off by a tow truck driver, which more often than not is the story that you see.
Mm-hmm.
This is, hey guys, this is a scenario I ran into. I billed accordingly for my equipment. The customer was happy. I was happy, and the job get done.
Mm-hmm.
And the comments are, "You're a crook. You're a crook."
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is we're all sitting here in the peanut gallery commenting on something that's done after the fact. Like, we weren't there.
Armchair quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. And 30, 40 years ago, you would go out, you would get your job done, and no one would be the wiser unless they were there.
Yep.
Right? And that's how the industry, another aspect of the industry, is changing. And now we're getting flack from multiple different angles, from multiple different people, all at the same time for something that we feel like we're justified in, or that operator might have felt justified in, right?
100%. So in Ontario, the government has taken steps to introduce towing programs, the Provincial Towing Program, which is due for renewal. It's been out for a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has seen, if you're anywhere in Ontario, through Heavy Rescue 401, through all these guys, and I really hate to call them out on this. Carrie, I apologize.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I really don't. So I always like Carrie. I think he brings a lot of good attention to the towing industry.
Yep.
He brings a lot of information on the behind the scenes things that people don't really understand when it involves the police, when it involves the tow trucks. I kind of like what he is doing for the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I came across a video that I'm going to play for you
of
him talking about this new provincial towing program, or not new, but the renewal of this provincial towing program that you got to get in by the end of October. If you're in Ontario, don't forget, I think it's mid-October. You got to renew through this. I think it's called the TSSO. I keep forgetting the name of it. I should know better. It's some group of letters that means something.
Thanks.
And so here Carrie Schmidt is explaining it, and pay very close attention to what's going on in the background.
Provincial police have had a provincial towing program now for 1 full year. All towing operators and storage facilities that operate within the province that do business for the OPP for legislative tows or police requested tows are required to fill out an application form. Now, the first year applications are expiring and the new application process is now underway. Anyone who wants to...
Okay, I am going to mute this and I am going to fast forward to right about here, because that's fine. So the wonderful Carrie Schmidt is talking about a program that Ontario has launched to really encourage and help bring professionalism to the towing industry, a certain standard in order to be involved in these legislative tows, impaired tows, stunt driving, accidents where a customer, I believe, cannot make the decision for them. So the OPP are making the tow. You have to be registered with this program. Mm-hmm. There's some hoops you got to jump through. I think the program is great.
Yep.
But it hurts my brain to sit here and the government and the Ontario Provincial Police to tell us about how we are bringing this program, and it's time to renew, to really make sure that we are cracking down on bad towing companies, while these guys with a goddamn dually with no winch or driving to pull over a car on the highway. Like, fuck. Hey, tow guys, we need you guys to step up your game because you have ran rampant for years and we want to crack down and make the industry a better place. Also, cops, hey, Joe, do you think your dually with no winch can pull over this rollover on Canada's busiest highway? Son of a, like, come on, guys. Like, you couldn't pick a better spot to set up the tripod, Gary? Like, come on. It feels hypocritical. Did they get the job done? Yes. This is your scenario. This is your scenario that you were talking about earlier, G. Does that need a rotator? In my opinion, no. But in my opinion, it would be a lot safer than using a chain hooked onto the back of a 1-ton Stinger because you missed out on payments and couldn't get the rest of the record. I don't know what the reasoning is for it. These Rattlers still, these hideaway trucks in Ontario on the highways still baffle me. And I'm glad I said this after the tow show before I pissed off every guy there that had one. I mean, they don't normally show up with those trucks to the tow show anyways. But, like, do you see the irony in this statement right here? Am I wrong in thinking this, G?
I think you are.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to let you say your piece because I know you want to make it a clip, and me interrupting you would ruin your clip. So the way I look at it is these trucks have been in service for a while. These under bumper tow trucks, because that's, as much as I hate to say it, they are tow trucks. They do a job. They can tow things, right? Because they're lighter than a standard wrecker. That truck could legally tow that truck going down the road and be in its weight. Probably.
Not arguing with that.
Not arguing with that. Okay, we're on a roll here. You're not arguing with me on one thing. Let's move on to the other. The recovery side of things. Okay, well, I don't personally see a chain run from the bumper of the truck up. So I'm thinking he's probably hooked up to the actual winch cable because it's smaller, right? And he's just driving the truck ahead because it's faster than winding in that small little 4,000-pound winch or something that he has underneath that bumper. What I don't like about this scene is where the guys are standing. If there was no guys outside of the truck and it was just Buddy in the truck driving it ahead, what's the difference between that and you standing back there winching and waiting for debris to fly towards you? Have you ever pulled a car? Have you ever pulled a car out of the ditch? No. Am I saying it looks great? It doesn't. But have you ever pulled someone out of the ditch? Have you ever gotten someone?
Never in my 10-year career have I pulled somebody out of a ditch.
You've never pulled a car right up to the edge of that ditch and you hopped in your truck and drove ahead and got it out the rest of the 5-10 feet.
With nobody in the car?
With no one in the car.
No.
Or someone in the car and with the foot on the brake. Doesn't matter. Have you ever put your truck in drive with a winch cable or a chain hooked up to that casualty?
To pull it that last foot over the embankment? Sure.
Yes. What's the difference? Is it quick?
Control.
Sure.
Control.
Where's it going to go?
Where's it going to go?
Where's it going to go?
It's control. It is all control in this situation. The reason that you have controls and a winch is because you can control the speed. You control everything. Not some guy sitting behind a wheel going, "Give her, Johnny, give her."
I don't think he's actually going, "Give her, Johnny, give her."
No, but come on. If you can't get if you can't have a truck to do recovery, then don't do recovery. You want to stick to you want to argue that you can tow with these trucks? I support that argument. I have no problem. But you can't be doing jobs like this with a truck with no, you know what I mean? With come on.
In the city,
none of those chains
in the concrete jungle, it is a different industry than what we are accustomed to, right? They normally have cars into barriers. They normally have cars into guardrails. They don't normally get the cars that are down in the ditch 100 feet. And that's not the sweet spot these trucks are designed for. It's just not. But this quick, easy, get the highway cleared as fast as you can. And that's what the industry has kind of pushed us towards, at least in the cities and on the highways for the last at least 5 years. They want to get the highway open. And the show dramatizes that a lot. Got to get this highway open as fast as possible. And this is fast. It's quick and it's efficient. Is it right?
How is it any quicker than a regular wrecker?
Well, you got to pull out your winch, wind in the winch so slowly. Once the truck comes down, your winch is loose anyways. And now you got to rewind your winch in with no tension on it.
Okay, but according to you, there's a winch on this.
Well, it could be a winch, could be a chain. Who knows? Right? I'm saying it looks like it's a chain or a winch because we're far away and we can't see a chain hooked up.
No, because Carrie Schmidt, as wonderful and beautiful of a man, his big head's blocking. But you cannot tell me that there's any professionalism to that clip right there.
No, there isn't. But am I saying that's not a way people get the job done day in and day out? People
safely?
do.
No. Safely, no.
How is it?
You're literally going to use the argument that debris is going to come flying at you when that thing lands. There's still a guy standing right there. That argument is gone. That is the same spot you.
I said if there wasn't a guy that was gone. That was my opening part of the argument. Opening part. Now, when you get to that point in this situation and that truck's about to roll, is your winch cable still tight?
No. There's always a slack off whenever it lands.
Exactly. What's the difference about pulling it over? If anything, if you're driving ahead in your truck, you're pulling with enough speed that winch cable should stay tight until the truck hits the ground. If you think about it.
No. Why would you?
Because you're driving ahead, let's say 5-10 kilometers
an hour.
He
stopped right before it got to its tipping point. You see that in the video. He stopped right before he gets to his tipping point.
He could have kept driving. Could have. There's lots of different things.
I think that's a little worse in the scenario. Are you trying to use the winch line as a catch line? And if so, you're going to shock load the shit out of that thing. So no, that's why you want the slack so it doesn't land on the cable under tension and load the shit out of your cable or give that yank back on your truck or your winch. I mean, that's a worst case scenario.
No, I understand. Would I do it? No. And unfortunately, I still see this as that's the industry in the city, right? Because it is. That's what they do. And that's how the industry has been going. See, he's still moving. He's still
No, look.
moving past the tipping point.
He stops right there. Wait.
Still moving.
Stop. No, right there he stopped.
Yeah.
And then the truck comes down. So eat it. No.
You see this all
I
over.
just can't understand the OPP coming in and saying we are working a program to make towing more legitimate, to make towing more controlled, to make towing more regulated, and having two yahoos pulling over a truck like that with a winch, whether there be a winch or not, or a cable on that. There's no control. There is zero control in doing it that way. Zero control. Try it.
Just try it.
Okay. I'll do
Try
it in my
in your yard.
Yeah, because I would never do that out on a roadway.
Try it in
In a
your yard.
controlled instance in my yard? I don't know, my man. So you're saying this is a completely approved method and you would do that on the highway?
Well, I don't work in this specific area, but I mean, I don't.
We don't know
my
where it is.
situation, if I was in that truck, I don't have a boom in my truck. I was first on scene, or I was appointed this tow. It's got to get onto its wheels. I'm not pushing it. So,
well, though, in tech, if this is in the general area in Toronto where we think it is, this would be a contracted tow.
Yeah.
So it's not your first on scene. You're contracted to the area because it's exclusive towing zones.
Yep. And how many times do you get all the information? They might not have known it was on its side. That normally gets left out. I know for myself on police calls, they don't tell me if it's upside down in the ditch. They just say I need a tow here.
We normally get at least it's a rollover. I'm trying to see if I can see.
There is a cable or something you can see. Yeah.
Anyway, I would never be caught doing it. Am I wrong or right on it? I don't know.
Let us know down below in the comments. Who do you side
with?
There you
go. You can tear another strip out of me this week. Let's go. I'm in. So after shitting on people all day, let's have a little fun. Before we get going at the end of this episode, let's have a little bit of fun. I mean, this is also going to be shitting on people. You came across this photo. I will let you speak of it. I will pull it up. You can talk about it. As he takes water, he wasn't ready yet. He wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready. So the picture's kind of small, so if you're watching on your phone, I would hope your nose touches the bottom of your phone right now if you're watching on the YouTube side of things. If you're on the audio side of things, it's two Fords, nose to nose, with their hoods up, typical Fords.
And, in their natural habitat.
Yeah, and it looks to be out in the middle of a wheat field or just some open space. And there's two pieces of barbed wire going from the positive on one to the positive battery on the other, and negative to negative. If that's not, oh shit, my battery's dead, what do we do? That moment right there pretty much sums it up. I know myself, if I was out in that field, I'm not waiting for a tow truck. Hey, Johnny, you got some barbed wire in the back of your pickup? Sure.
I got $20 and a box of Timbits that says that's in America.
Oh, you never know. Could be out in Alberta or Saskatchewan. Well, the hill's pretty tall for Saskatchewan.
I mean, is it wrong? No. Is it stuck in a pinch?
If it works, it's not stupid.
Well, that's an argument that I had going back to that last video. It can still work and be stupid. I really wish they would have showed the video where they hooked up and dragged it to spin it sideways, because that would have been a great sight to see too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then going over the one I found, back and forth here, getting a speeding ticket on your car as it's being towed. And so it's a radar photo camera that got a picture and sent somebody. This looks somewhere European. I can read notification something on it. And it's a car getting a speeding ticket because it got its plate off of the back of a tow truck.
We can get that with red light cameras here in Ontario.
Oh, really? I'm not going to try, but I will believe you. But how much of a piss off would that be? Because these things don't come out right away.
Yeah.
So imagine being like a month later and all of a sudden you open the mail and you get a bill that says you got a red light camera or a speeding ticket, whatever it may be. And you see your photo on the back of the towing company. Quick question. Do you think the towing company is coming good for that bill, for that ticket?
They better be.
I mean, you got to, right? Like the proof is right there. How would you get away with it?
Yeah. Well, you can't see the company name on the bed there.
Prove it was us. Prove it was us. But no, absolutely. You know what? There is definitely some lot of fun things to always find involving towing out in the world. We never come up shy of it. We always manage to find these articles. We always manage to find these stories. We always manage to find the wonderful Carrie Schmidt out on the highway somewhere demonstrating why police should stick to policing and towers should stick to towing. I mean, no disrespect, but at the same time, come on now. Let's do better. So, on behalf of myself and my wonderful co-host, Mr. Towman G. I don't know how many times I gotta say it, Towman G.
Yes.
We thank you guys once again for listening. Don't forget to check out the website, www.towinglife.ca. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We thank you for listening. We cannot wait to see you again next week. Take care.
Toodles.